It is 12 noon on the East Coast. It's 9 a.m. on the West Coast. See, I can actually do time properly. And my name is Mike Blinder. I'm coming to you, believe it or not, from Music City, Nashville, because my wife and I moved here recently. We have people from all over the country joining us for a very interesting topic that I'm learning more and more about as I explore it with one of our marketing partners here at E&P, the On-Premise Networks. So with that being said, let me introduce a panel to you that we're very, very excited to have on the program today. First of all, of course, we have Pat. Pat, I call you Pat. Is that correct? It's Pat Dorsey, right? Or do you're muted there, sir, in your mountain there? But it's
yeah, that's perfectly fine.
You
You
and
get
I,
a lot of worse names, so that works.
you and I have known each other over the years and bumped into each other. Pat Dorsey is currently the publisher at the Santa Fe New Mexican. We're honored to also have a Dana Peck. Dana, you come to us from the Washington, D.C. area, Baltimore, right? With the Afro, is that correct?
Yes, that's where the Afro's based.
Okay, and then of course, Daniel, you and I have bumped into each other a few times. Phil Howard, you are the owner and president CEO of Granite Media Partners. We met at the Texas Press Association conference last year. What part of Texas do you hail from, sir?
I live in Taylor, Texas, actually.
Which is, help us out.
It's about northeast of Austin, so just outside of the Austin metro area.
Excellent. So you also, when I was talking to Pat about the Bat Bridge in Austin, you knew what I was talking about.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
There you go. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, go to Google, type in Bat Bridge. You'll understand what that is all about. It's like the thing to do in Austin, Texas. But I want to bring in, before we get into the meat of this, we are on Zoom. Duh. If you don't have Zoom, then you're not part of this. But Zoom pretty much has become the quintessential platform for many of the meetings. We're now in Zoom webinar now, not in Zoom meeting, which means I control you. You can't just jump in right now and add audio and video to this message. You're kind of in the background, but I can always bring you in if we have to. But more importantly, I want to let you know that there's a bottom right below us, there's a chat button. And I want you to use that only, if I may, to ask any questions, make any decisions, tell us your views, ask for more information, or tell us that we're just boring the heck out of you. But do me a favor, if you do want to participate via the chat button, it defaults for some reason to panelists only. And I like to keep this to be an open forum. I want you to default it to panelists and attendees. So we on the panel can hear your thoughts as well as our attendees, and maybe we could get a string of questions going on or what have you. Now I'm going to bring in our marketing partner here at E&P, the sponsor of today's webinar, Andy McKenna. Andy, welcome to the program. First of all, I am very impressed with your product offering. I mean, I've seen them everywhere I go. These are the screens that we're seeing more and more in places where essentially people are gathered to wait for stuff. Do I have that right, Andy? This is what you do?
Correct. I mean, I think, retail TVs are becoming ubiquitous and because there is this large captive audience that all of us can speak to. And so we've just tried to take that product and deliver it as a solution that a local newspaper, local radio station could easily implement.
I mean, they're everywhere now because flat screens are cheap, right? I mean, I even was in a ride share when I was speaking at a conference in Minneapolis, and there were flat screen TVs using Band-Aids on the back of the, displaying messages to me.
No question. I think every retail outlet you'll go in a few years will have TVs, and I mean, there's a belief that the retail TV audience is going to exceed the linear TV audience in sometime in the next 36 months. And so it's just a channel that I think people should be thinking about, and certainly a channel that's available to local newspapers.
And your expertise in this is able to offer the ability for any sized market to use this both as an advertising medium for their advertisers, but as well as a brand lift to get their message in front of more eyeballs. Do I have that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've tried to just make it easy. We do the CapEx. There's no upfront cost for people to use this solution. We've had a lot of experience with it, so we kind of understand the market today. But, for a local newspaper, you need to be in front of the community every day. And so we take those great stories that people have and give them a way to deliver it to people in the coffee shops and restaurants and gyms, encounter them as they're out and around in the community. But then that audience is also a really large local audience. It becomes attractive to local advertisers. And so we can frame it so it gets delivered to people in the same area that you're publishing or the same area you're broadcasting.
I love the panel we have here today. And Andy, thank you for helping me assemble it, because we have 3 different perspectives from 3 different sized markets, or I should say different market facing media companies. But I want to take it in a very interesting order. I want to start with Daniel first. Daniel, you told us you're from Tyler, Texas, but many of us may not have heard of Granite Media Partners. Can you give me an idea of who the heck you are, the scope of your market, the size of your team, and how your operation functions, sir?
Yeah, you bet. We live in Taylor, Texas, which is quite different from Tyler. Tyler is actually outside of Dallas. Taylor is a small community outside of Austin. Most recent news for Taylor is we are the site location for the country's largest chip manufacturer with Samsung. It's a $17 billion investment from Samsung right here in Taylor. So our little town is no longer going to be a little town very quickly. But yeah, so Granite Media Partners, my background is actually in accounting and finance, business development. And I made a shift to look into this media company, started working for Granite in 2016. I later purchased the company in 2021. I own 10 newspapers, about 7 magazines. We manage 2 more newspapers. We have about 100 employees throughout the company. We serve in about 13, 14 communities right now with the screens. And we're looking to continue to explore and get bigger. So our main focus really is that this sense of like, the everything effect. We are more than a newspaper, and we understand that consumers today consume information in a different way. So it definitely in a different way than the newspapers and the highlight of the 80s and 90s. We have a lot of online and digital products. But we really rely on the brands that we have. Our brands, every one of my newspapers is over 100 years old. My oldest is 166 years old. So that's Colorado County.
I find it fascinating, though, that you are so advanced for small markets. In other words, when I look at how you're positioning your business, it's very, and if I may blow you some smoke, I see you presenting yourself better than I've seen some major market operations, because you're about the brand. You're about, I don't know if you've ever seen me speak on this, but you take your legacy media, you don't hide it. You're proud of those legacy names, but you surround them with so much cool media that you're not, at least in my humble opinion, you're not considered old and stodgy. Do I have that right? I mean,
that's right. Yeah, I don't think I'm old and stodgy. No,
I mean, but the media.
Yeah, and I think most of my team really does kind of represent a good, mix of age groups, and we have a good group of the way that we consume our information. But yeah, a couple years ago when you were at TPA, Texas Press Association, you spoke to that effect. When you purchased E&P, you had mentioned that you really purchased a brand. And that's really what I see. What I did here in 2021 is I purchased brands, well-known, well-respected brands in these smaller communities. I think the largest community that I have is maybe 18,000. I have 2 communities around 18, 20,000. Most of my other communities are below 10,000. And so
it's amazing. So you're super serving these hyper local areas, but then you decided to expand, which most are not doing today. Most are like, every time you approach a small media company, they're going, I have too many things to sell, too many things on our plate. You embraced full bore this technology. Because I asked Andy, do you have someone that you've deployed this to is going all in? I mean, you have how many signs now deployed in your area, sir?
We have 85. We have 85, and that spans 13 or 14 markets, and we have about 10 or 15 more that we're wanting to add on in two or three other markets in 2024. So yeah, we're all in. So this mentality that we're more than a newspaper, we are a trusted brand that you can trust with your information, and we have a First Amendment right and responsibility to bring you good quality journalism, but we're also a marketing firm. And so we have every platform that our local communities need in order to market their product, their service, and event. So
Yeah,
we want to be the go-to place.
We're watching right now actual footage, I guess, and then the files that are being played on screens that you are. So I see advertising intertwined with messages about your brand to the community. But when I asked Andy to give me an idea of where you are, Andy, you actually made this deck for your customers and you subdivided all his screens into certain geographic regions. Am I correct? So here you have the tailored screen locations ready for any advertiser to see where they are. And you even label them based on the type of business. Is this created by you, Andy, and your team?
Yeah, so this is an audience deck that that's for Taylor for the Taylor paper, and obviously there's one for each of Daniel's other publications. And so, you know, audience is important to those advertisers, right? So we show them the venues, we show them where the TV is, we show them how many monthly visitors there are, we show them what zip codes those visitors came from, which you'll see in a second. But they're buying that audience, and you know, obviously most of these advertisers want to talk to a local audience. And the fact is, when you put these TVs at retail, you know, you're getting people when they're out and around, and it proves to be a very strong local audience.
You're not, okay, Andy, you're actually showing small little businesses proudly to your advertisers where there's this huge screen placed there. I mean, this is to me amazing, because what you're doing is you're proudly saying we're local, these are local, and here's another way for your message to come across. Do I have that right, sir?
Yeah, and it's very much a local support local idea, right? I mean, these local restaurants, gyms, coffee shops, they want the local news in their place. That's very attractive to them. They're very community driven. But it's a real benefit, you know, to a retail store to have a commercial playing in the coffee shop, because someone's out at the coffee shop getting coffee. It brings it top of mind. Maybe they'll stop by to your store afterwards and go shop there. So so yes, it's very highly localized in delivery, highly localized in audience.
All right,
You
so
know,
Andy, okay, Daniel, go ahead.
I wanted to add something to that, not just the marketing aspect and the ads that you see, but also highlighting the editorial content that comes by. You know, so for example, we had a local 8-year-old girl recently who went missing. And so, yeah, there on your screen, you see kind of news breaks. We're able to use these screens in all of our locations. And in our area, we have about 40 screens in our area. We were able to put up this breaking news about this missing girl fairly quickly and to reach the market. And so it was really full saturation through the televisions, through social media, through website, and of course through print. We're able to really get into our market. So yes, it's really kind of twofold. We maintain that audience with the editorial we have, but then while doing so, we put the marketing in there to highlight these small businesses.
And, you know, Daniel, I should have flown you up to Minneapolis last week because I did a big presentation for Minnesota Press, and I have a new speech I'm doing called "What's Old is New." And based on all the data we're getting from Burrell and Mather and everywhere about advertiser intent, what the consumers are now needing, it turns out that people are looking for more legacy solutions. In other words, yeah, I'm going to do some digital, but I still want to get my ad in a billboard. I still want to get my ad in a newspaper on TV. And secondly, they're back to wanting branding, top of mind awareness. I was thinking, you got to dust off all those old full year packages. And I asked you how you're selling this, and you said to me, everything you sell is kind of packaged, and that's what advertisers want. Right. So when I saw those ads on your screens that you are pushing to thousands and thousands of people a day, correct me if I'm wrong, those advertisers are getting similar messages in your paper and online as well? Is it mostly bundled the way you're doing this?
Correct. Yeah, that's the best way to, you know, kind of support the legacy print products that we have. It really, the idea here isn't to diminish that legacy product, but to continue to hold it up with these other digital elements. So yes, we bundle everything we do, and we have frequency contracts, you know, 9 months, 12-month contracts that we sign with them. And yeah, that's the objective. You know, with marketing 101, you want to get your product in front of as many eyeballs as possible, as often as possible. We want to put that in a digital billboard. We want to put that in print. We want to do that in direct mail. We do it all, and we do that all under the legacy names that we have locally that people know and trust and they believe in, and they know that that brings results.
All right, do you really, okay, now I'm going to ask the billion-dollar question, because Andy knows that I'm going to ask whatever I want. But how, I mean, there was, when we all moved to digital services years ago, a lot of publishers got upset because the cost of selling search engine optimization, the margins aren't there. You got to pay for the ad with Google, then you got to pay the rep, and you got to pay the infrastructure. So a lot of digital services that we launched back then were not profitable. All these digital agencies weren't worth the effort. Does that make sense? Is the pricing from Anthony? I don't know where that noise is coming from in the background, and I apologize. You hear that as well, Jim, in the background?
Yes, sir.
Patrick, my panel could mute for a second. See if it's coming from one of you. All right, it's coming from one of our on the panel. I don't know how that happened, so stay muted till I talk to you. But Daniel, when Andy charges you for this product, are you making money? I hope you don't mind me asking that.
No, ask away. That's the whole point of what we do, right? So we need to make money. So yes, sir, we are. Yeah, it's taken some time to develop our internal processes, our controls, the way we do so. But I believe we got it down. We figured it out. You know, we've been working a lot with OnPremise. Their background team has been great. You know, we've been full on. So we've figured out how to do it. The getting the screens in a location is easy. That's easy. Everyone likes the idea. They see it. They love that it's there. You know, we kind of talked a little bit about it. We have a lot of our customers and a lot of our staff that have like these print blinders on, if you will. They're just used to print. And so we have to kind of retrain even our customers to think, you know, print, yes, the print has been very effective for a very long time, but we don't have the revenue equivalent of a full page broadsheet ad in digital, you know, especially in our smaller markets. It's just not, just the math doesn't make sense. So in order to make that make sense and to be profitable, we have to add multiple elements and to be able to offer the package deal, because ultimately we want results for our customers. And if we're bringing them results, they're going to come back, and we'll be able to continue to be profitable in the packages we
I don't know how many times I've said, whenever we were selling programmatic, I wouldn't call it that. I called it reach extension, because I trained the reps that you just rent eyeballs for a living. Every time I meet a rep that said to me over the years where I was training them, we have too much to sell. We have too much to sell. I'd say, good, that's great. That means you have all the tools in your toolbox you need to do a good needs analysis, find out what the heck the advertiser is trying to target, and then bring out the right products, more reach, more results. And that's what it's all about. So if you can find better ways to search, and by the way, all the data backs up. I'm not going to put this out here, especially from Burrell's recent research, that advertisers are only looking to talk to a couple of media companies now. You want to have every solution you can in your toolbox, so you can be all things to all people. I'm going to now move our audience quickly, because I don't want to, and that was great, Andy. Thank you. I mean, Daniel, we're going to bring you back, but I would like to now move to Pat. Pat, by the way, congratulations. We in E&P put it up in February that you are the new publisher at the Santa Fe New Mexican. Congratulations. You're working. That was a client newspaper of mine. Traveling there was one of my favorite trips, sir.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice place to visit, good tourist location, vibrant market, state capital. So we really enjoy it here.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. And congratulations. Now, you just got there. Was this deployment of OnPremise already on the books when you got there and started the gig, or is this something you brought in?
No, it wasn't already started yet. I won't say I brought it in, but I've known Andy for a while, and we had talked about it for Austin. So when we were looking for opportunities here in Santa Fe, let me back up a little bit so we can kind of get there. But Santa Fe, New Mexican, this year is 175 years old. This is our 175th anniversary year. It's a very strong, trusted brand in the state capital of New Mexico, serving Santa Fe and northern New Mexico. Fairly isolated market, but a strong market, and the brand here carries a lot of weight. But it's also a very print-centric market. which we love, and there's nothing wrong with that because that pays the bills very well, and we love that. But Santa Fe, the newspaper, much like Santa Fe, the town goes back to the 1600s, and change is slow here. And so we were looking for ways that we could diversify the portfolio. We have our digital brands and sell digital marketing services, website, et cetera. We wanted more, as you talked about, audience extension, continuing ways to make it more forward looking, and also add additional products to excite our advertisers.
I'd also want to encourage our audience now, if you have any questions, there are other people in the chat room smarter than me, some that work with Andy and some that work at these newspapers that can answer them for you. Please go into the chat room, not Q&A, and start a dialogue there, and we'll do our best to make sure any questions, concerns you need will be answered. Now, Pat, you are not fully deployed yet, right? You're in the midst of deployment. That's why I wanted to bring you in to talk about how much of a time sink this has been. How many screens do you have, and how many screens do you plan to have, and what's your timetable, sir?
So we're currently at 16 screens. It may change from day to day as we go up, but we're working to, there's the 16 there. And we're gonna really, I say launch when we get to 20. The reality is the screens are up. We're putting content to it. The folks that are hosting the screens have their ads running on it, and we've actually seeded with some really strong partners as well up there. So we're currently using the screens and putting them up there, but we really haven't launched our ad sales part of this, and that'll start when we get to 20. We have a little bit more of the audience stuff all put together, and we'll be ready to launch.
But you got enough on your plate. Why the heck did you do this? I mean, just to have more tools in your toolbox, or what's the reason, with all the things you most probably are evaluating now, only being on the job for about a month there, right? At the new gig, why is this a priority for you?
Well, it's a priority. One, again, we were looking, as we were going into 2024, we were looking for, is our 175th anniversary. We want to do something different. We wanted to create some buzz. We wanted to also have additional ways to promote our news, promote our products, promote our brand in the 175th anniversary in the trusted newspaper. But it's actually an easy audience extension. We package this with other things. It allows us, as much like Daniel said, to kind of grow that price point by adding different products to it, and excite the market a little bit. So it's not very time consuming at all. Andy and his team do a great job building the decks, building the audience, building all the things that you need to go out to market. So they make it very easy. So I wouldn't say that we spent a lot of time on that at all. The news that we put up, probably about 15 minutes in a normal news flow in the morning. They'll put up several stories. Some stories will run several days. Some that are more immediate, they'll just run a day and they can get replaced. And so there's stories constantly running in there and promoting our brands, et cetera, promoting our subscription offers, as you see right there, which is always great. And so it just seemed like a really easy launch for us, and Andy and them have made it easy. So it was kind of a no-brainer.
We have a question, which I want to thank Paul for this, because it's almost like, Paul, you or Vanna about to turn the letter. I have an actual shot, which I'm going to show in a moment, of the back-end software interface that the news team uses at the Santa Fe New Mexican. But I don't want to stop what I'm showing right now, because you are really having some fun with a lot of content you're posting already in here, Pat. I'm amazed. All these news breaks, and look at these huge photos. This has got to really catch the eye. Are you getting any feedback now from the community, even though in the soft launch you're doing?
Yeah, we really are, and we haven't promoted it or really talked about it. It's been that soft launch, and so we're just getting feedback. People saying, "Oh, I saw, what are you guys doing with these screens? I saw your news coming up on these screens. Is that you guys, or is who's doing that? Is somebody using your news?" And so it's a great conversation starter. It's really creating the buzz that we wanted out there. when we're selecting stories, they do a good job in the newsroom of looking for things that have nice pieces of art with them, so it's not too text heavy. And so then they'll just pop in, some text there, and it'll be a few slides per story and roll through, and it keep it interesting too for folks when they're in various locations. So it kind of draws their eye.
Well, the salesman in me, Pat, and you know I'm a salesman. I come from the business side. Would grab this instantly and spec it. In other words, I'm a big believer now, and we do a lot of our prospecting through email here at ENP, just to get that cold call be a little bit warmer. Can you imagine an email going out with this video embedded in it, just a piece of it showing 3 or 4 advertisers, just these incredible visuals? I think you could get an advertiser interested in learning more just on how in your face this is. Have you thought of trying that, sir?
Oh yeah, when we're ready, which should be within the next, I'd say within the next 30 days, we're kind of trying to time it with other things that are going on. We plan on doing a really large blitz, including some email blasts and a few other things to get people excited for it. And my expectation is that this will lead to us growing we want to get to where Daniel is in his amount of screens. So
Right.
my expectation is we're going to continue to add screens. So this drums up business not only for the ad sales, but for people wanting the screens, people interested in other products. So it really does a whole lot of things for us, all with the main screen network. And so I expect we'll double it by the end of the year, and then we'll see where we go from there. We service a lot of the communities around in northern New Mexico, including Los Alamos. And so we could also do some zoning of it. But our news product covers it all, but we could do some zoned advertising related to just those markets too. So there's a lot of opportunities and things we can play with here.
Okay, so Paul did ask, what is the software? Who pays for the install? Let's start with the software. Andy, you sent me a video of what the newsroom has to do to insert a story. I'm going to start that. And would you give me a little take over with and tell them what this all shows. Okay, sir?
Sure, great. So what you're looking at is a simple tool that we provide our clients. What you're doing to post a story, you post a date, you post what the name of the paper is, because sometimes there's multiple papers. You put the headline in, and then you can go ahead and select images from your files. So you just drop in the image. You can crop the image if you want to right here. If you like it, you leave it. You can put up to 3 images in there. Each image can have its own copy line. But you do those things. You then can, as you'll see in a second, take a look at the clip as you built it. If you don't like it, you can edit it. If you do like it, you can go ahead and you just submit it, and then it goes on the screens. So it's intended to be very simple, something maybe 2 minutes to post a story. And we wanted to have that flexibility so that, as Daniel was talking about earlier, a breaking news story, you want to get out there quickly, provide a way to do that. These tools are going to evolve, and we anticipate future tools where you can kind of we'll read your stories with AI and actually be able to do some of these things for you. But right now it's a very simple cut and paste tool.
I was just about to ask, do you have any, right now I'm using a tool from one of our marketing partners at ENP that actually did a webinar with us, where it actually takes my stories and suggests better headlines based on AI or better tags. So you could actually then start building out a way where some of this is self-building, right, in the future.
Yeah, I think for sure. I see it's being self-building. We have prototypes. We see that we can soon read your front page and actually deliver it back to you as an audio broadcast where there's someone reading the news, which could be a product both on the screens and on the web as well. So we anticipate this is going to continue to evolve a lot, both with the AI as well as with the speed with which a lot of papers are using more video that they want to integrate into the screens.
All right, now, if this is like I call this a WYSIWYG, right? I mean, I don't have to be a nerd or know how to do HTML or anything. I can just I grab a few photos. It does the what is that? They call that the effect you see on public television. And can't name the name of the producer who made all those great shows for PBS, and they use his name as the zoom in and out effect of the pictures. Will this interface also make up me the commercials for the advertisers as well? Or is that something you produce for the?
Yeah, so we do all the ad production for our clients. We do have some templated ads that people could use. Someone wants to come in and buy an event. Someone just post an event. We have templates for that. But the full motion ads that you saw earlier, we have a team that produces that for the papers, so they don't have to get tied down doing any of those things.
Do you want to? We're getting questions about costs already. I knew that was going to happen. By the way, the questions are now in Q&A. So if anyone wants to respond on your team there, they can. But does Pat pay for each screen that goes up in that market, or are those screens already there? How does the deployment work?
Yeah, so we do all the CapEx. As Pat suggested, people are interested in having these in their restaurant. They're interested in having them in a gym. They like the local news. They like the engagement for their clients. And so we work with our newspaper clients and the community. We recruit the hosts. We put the TV in, we install it. So again, all that kind of wiring stuff we take care of, for our clients. It's totally a turnkey solution. Our clients, it requires sales investment to be successful, but many of the other elements, it's our intention to take care of it for you. So effectively, just in terms of kind of high level feel on the economics, you're hiring us to deliver a network of screens. You pay us a fee per month for these screens, which in a smaller network, 20 screens or less, is $249 per month per screen. A larger network, $199 per month per screen. But month one, these fees ramp, right? So the intention is you sell ahead of this, in this case, gets paid for out of sales. If you sign with us today, we'd go out tomorrow and we recruit the host. Once they recruit them, get them installed. Once they're installed, which might take a month or so. Once they're installed, your first invoice comes. That's for $0 per screen, and then $99, and then $169, and then $249. So from the time you launch to the time you're at full fee, you've got 4 or 5 months. And we want to be working with you as soon as you're ready to launch the sales. And so this should not be an out-of-pocket expense. This should be paid for out of sales, and this should become, we would feel like, a 60% gross margin item for you.
All right, so now we're going to move to the Afro. And the reason I saved the best for last, I just wanted to say that to you, Dana, is, by the way, I found that great picture of you. I hope you don't mind, Dana. I just think that's just an amazing. You have 6 kids?
I'm a part of a blended family.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I'm just saying, how can you, I got one, and I found it hard to get my job done some days. But Dana, the Afro is a niche publication where you serve a specific niche audience, and that also means niche neighborhoods or niche areas. Am I correct? So your deployment strategy was a little bit different, and moreover, you got funds for this. Am I right? You were able to get some philanthropic donations to get these screens. Is that right?
That's right. We received funding from the News Equity Fund through GNI to do a prototype, to just test out our theory that we want to get our news where our people are. And if we do that, we'll be able to sustain this effort. So we partnered with Andy to fulfill that goal.
Andy, is there more opportunity for that, would you say?
Yeah, no, I think, what Dana's really done and Afro with their network is, again, they wanted a very specific audience. They wanted to bring their news to a younger audience in targeted communities. And that's kind of the magic of way these screens work. By selecting the right venues, they were able to generate an audience that was what they were looking for in terms of age, in terms of ethnicity, et cetera. And so I think particularly in larger urban communities, where there is ethnic media, this is an excellent tool, to build your audience and build the presence in the communities you want to have a stronger presence.
So how did you find these locations, Dana? The Chiselet and Wiley Funeral Home and Elite Impact. Did you pick those locations based on their they were advertisers, or that was just exactly where you wanted to get your most impact into these new eyeballs you wanted to get your brand established with?
These locations were resulted from a combination of efforts. These two neighborhoods or communities, Owings Mills and Randallstown, represent a large percentage of our subscriber base and also reflective of our demographics we wanted to reach, with over 60% African Americans. And also we had personal relationships with some of them. With Chisel It, he brought out a cover. He was on the cover of the Afro years ago, and we came to visit with him. But we're also looking for barbershops and beauty salons where many of our demographics spend a lot of time there. And so our average dwell time for these 9 locations is about 77 minutes. This is a combination of restaurants, fitness, and the beauty shop and barbershop. So they see your ad at least 4 times while they're there. Well, they have the opportunity to do so.
I am amazed at the fact that you were able to deploy this. Now you have currently 9 total screens, but
Yes.
but hyper targeted into these markets. And I didn't get a chance to really dive in because I know your publication so well. I've had your boss on my show at least 3 times so far in the past year for many of the very interesting initiatives that she's working with. But let's describe this brand. Your brand is over 140 years old. Am I correct?
Almost over 131 years ago.
Yeah.
John H. Murphy founded this paper with a loan from his wife, $200, at a time when about 2% of African Americans reportedly could read. So he took a huge step at a time when the mainstream media was not reporting any good news about our community. So we're proud to, for the last 131 years, provide good news about our community. And we wanted to bring that directly to where our people are.
Now, my question is because that brand is, I used the term before, but remember, I inherited a 142-year-old brand just a few years ago, old and stodgy. Some people said to me, oh, EMP is old. It's old. Do you have that challenge sometimes?
Yes, yes. So people, either they say, oh, you're still around, or I remember seeing this paper on my grandmother's table. So we proudly say we're not your grandparents' paper anymore. We're the Black Media Authority, and we're expanding, and people are excited about seeing our brand in the community.
So this was a massively cool brand extension for you.
Yes, it's very important to us.
I'm gonna play your reel now, or whatever they call it, where we get your over.
This is the loop. Yes.
This is the loop. And we're seeing now that there's some advertising here.
Yes, this is one of our host locations. So this is the ad, the fully animated ad that Andy's team creates, and then our house ads, similar to the other markets where you saw the house ads.
And is this a loop that you just play to advertisers to show what this is all about, or is this actually what the screen would look like to me?
That's what the screen looks like, but we had a wonderful opportunity. We have a very creative advertising team. We launched this during Black Business Month with several Black businesses. So we revealed the screen. We have a screen at our offices, our headquarters, and we produced this loop and showed them, and then we provided all those Black businesses that were there 4 weeks of complimentary advertising. So they were on the screens.
Oh, so that picture of you that you're doing your presentation, you were actually able to bring people in by saying, and we're going to feature your business on the screens.
That's right. That's right.
So how's it going now? How many advertisers do you have? Are you making money as well as expanding your brand? What kind of feedback have you gotten? How long? Give me an idea of where you are today and what your plans are for tomorrow.
Yes, so we launched in August, and as you mentioned, we received seed funding to launch this effort. So we're not out any money. We're not making additional money. We do have some advertisers. We're looking for advertisers, but this is the approach we're taking. We're going after bigger advertisers saying, you know, for over 131 years, we've been supporting small businesses. Will you help us with that effort and help us put additional screens in additional locations where we believe it will be more appealing to advertisers to have more than these 9 locations. So we wrote another grant, so we will be expanding in March to 21 additional locations because of additional funding. So we feel that we will be able to be more appealing to advertisers. And so some of our pain points was the sales. We don't have a dedicated sales team just for this effort. As the other markets are doing, we are bundling these packages, but we don't have a dedicated person. And so Andy's team has been very helpful, and they have a dedicated person now that will train us and will go on meetings with us via Zoom and help consult to get us some more sales.
Excellent, excellent. Andy, you heard me mention earlier about a desire to spec an advertiser. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but I actually call it the hypnotic close. If you can be with an advertiser and show them something that's post-agreement, goes back to my radio days, Andy, not to bore you, but when I was selling radio, I used to go into the studios at night because I was a DJ before I went into sales, kind of spec commercial, go in front of the advertiser, put the copy in front of them, play the cassette tape. For those of you that are under 30, a cassette is a tape that we used to have in those days, and play the tape, and then the advertiser would immediately start correcting the copy. That is ownership. Why would you correct something you don't take ownership? You hear less objections, you start making the copy work for the advertiser. Do I have the ability with you? And I think I didn't ask you this question in advance, so I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. But do I have the ability with you to actually, if I'm part of your world, to build an ad and take it out as a speculative ad for an advertiser to close the deal?
Sure, great point. No, we're happy to do spec ads. And you're right, it works just the way, people like to see, their face, their brand, in a video. It's a nice thing. And so we're happy to do spec ads. And they do end up being very good sales tools, right? Because now you're talking about how to change the ad and prove it, as opposed to, why would I have the ad? And with this on the screens, it's a different ad product. And so the spec ad does help them see, what the end result might be.
So that doesn't bother you if a market were to ask you for 10 speculative ads a week and then make their sales team use those, they'd have to come back with some copy changes, but you don't mind that. That would be something that
we don't mind that. The other thing we provide is, so we have a YouTube channel that has dozens of ad examples by category.
Right.
Here's what realtors are doing. Here's what plumbers are doing. Here's what lawyers are doing. And
That
so, the sales teams help both. And Dana brought up a good point. Yeah, so we are investing more in sales management to help people get trained. And, I foresee us starting to do kind of web meetings once a month where just sales teams of different clients can exchange ideas. Because it is, it's creativity is a big part of the sales process. And I think more people can kind of see what others are doing. They find good ways to apply it.
All right, we have some questions that are coming from our audience, and I'm going to open it up to the panel if I may. Do you plan to use this program primarily to build subscriber base, broaden ad revenue streams? How do you envision the primary role of this in the unusual market you described? These are mostly, I think, for you, Dana. And true local newspapers are so locally specific. How do you envision optimizing this tech to increase your market saturation? I guess they're picking your brain, Dana. How do you see this? I think you've already kind of told us that, but maybe readdress it again. How do you see this helping the Afro stop being, if I may be so bold, the newspaper grandma used to read, if I may say?
This is a big win for the Afro and the brand, being out in the community. And so definitely see this as expanding our subscriber base, a big PR push for our brand, and also an additional revenue stream. And so we see the potential and profit, definitely. And that's what we're leveraging on. We are the oldest Black business in Maryland. And like these other legacy brands, we're a trusted voice. And so we're using that in the community to expand our brand.
Just to add on to that, Mike, one of our papers did a study in 90 days after they launched their network. Their digital subscriptions had grown by more than 11%. So they are seeing more traffic to the websites, which is yielding, certainly more digital subscriptions. And so, yeah, we certainly think people will get benefits in both areas.
What kind of, with the next question that I'm seeing here in the Q&A, is about customer feedback. Moreover, not just results, but customer feedback about having a screen in their environment. We haven't heard from Daniel in a moment. Daniel, how do the businesses feel about having that screen there? If they come to you and say it's too busy, it's a distraction, or do their customers kind of like having it there?
Yeah, we haven't had any complaints about the actual screen location. If anything, when we move them, it's usually due to, businesses moving or, things like that. But no, I mean, it's an easy sell to get the screens in our locations. Kind of like what Andy said, it's people want them there. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And again, to kind of go back a little bit to just a previous question, the second part of that was, true local newspapers are local. And that's the point of this is, yes, all the content you see is hyper local. It's about that market. It's about that community. The advertisers are advertisers in that community. So, yes, it's all about local, and that's what makes it great. And that's why local businesses will have it. They want that local attention. They're a local business too. So the feedback in general has been pretty good. It's easy to get them in there. I think we've all kind of touched on the sales aspect of it, the kind of the long-term selling of the advertisement. That's been a little bit of a challenge, largely because we're trying to, again, shift that focus away from print, the old, and show other new things as well. So the concepts are easy to sell. I mean, they're there, they like it. There's lots of great opportunity for us to do breaking news, share local content. So it's been fairly simple.
Let me pose the same question now to Pat. I mean, Pat, we didn't spend a lot. You did a great job giving us an overview of the market and what Santa Fe is. But is the New Mexican perceived as something that can be too old? Do you need this as a brand lift? Similar question with Nina. Make sure that you're getting in front of more younger demographics. And as you're picking your locations for future screens, is that a mission of yours, Pat?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know that we'd be considered too old. I think we have kept up with the times. For the state capital newspaper, so that a lot of the things that we're covering, people are very, very interested in. The brand is strong, and plus, it's we're not chain owned. We're local and independent, as it says on the masthead every day. So I can tell you that there's a lot of ownership for our readers and the people in the community. But we also know that we need to reach different audiences and not our standard audiences that we reach. So this is all about extension of audience into different demographics, into younger demographics, into other areas that we may not be as traditionally as strong, but not only to give the advertisers reach, but to introduce, or not introduce really, but remind folks or have our news brand out there. We create it with a lot of good visuals that attract attention, and they see it. And you can see on there, for more, SantaFeNewMexican.com. So as Andy was talking about, people get digital signups. Everybody always has a device. So you see a couple of things, and maybe you want more on the story, or you want to sign up or whatever. You go to our website right there on your phone, and hopefully sign up for a digital subscription. So there's just a lot of layers to this that are beneficial in many ways, and we're trying to take advantage of all of that.
Kylie has asked, maybe Andy, you could start with this, and anyone else in the panel wants to jump in. Is anyone paying these businesses to display these screens, or do you give them like an ad in exchange for it, or are they just happy to have that display in their business? Andy?
Yeah, great question. So the deal with the local restaurant, the local gym, if they give us space on their wall for the TV, they get a free ad on that TV, and they get a free ad on 5 nearby locations. So it's a barter arrangement. And that's, actually a really good local audience for them. Imagine being in the gym, seeing an ad for the coffee shop, or being in the coffee shop, seeing an ad for the gym. There's a benefit to both. So they do get a free ad in 5 nearby locations. And some of those actually buy additional ads, to the larger part of the network. But the core of the arrangement is, because they give us give us a location within their venue, they are given in a free ad on 5 nearby locations.
I've noticed at the bottom of the screen, now that I'm really drilling in, that you allow the newspaper or media company to have some presence there, where you could actually say, now remember, I'm an ad guy here, Andy, so I would have changed that message. Let's take a look again at one of the screens that we have deployed for the Afro here. Notice at the bottom that has a phone number. I can't get into the message there. Dana, is that ad with that phone number telling an advertiser you can be on this screen? That's what I would be doing. Or what is that phone number for, if I may ask you?
Yes, that's our general phone number for ad inquiries, and there's a QR code as well. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I would be doing. I would actually use this to actually expand to my advertiser community how cool I am. You know, I mean, but
yeah, Mike, we're actually launching kind of a house ad for each of our sales reps for the area, where we're creating these motion ads for, hey, if you like what you see on the screen, here's our local rep that you all already know and love. Call her, call him. They'll help you out. So you'll notice also the bottom of the screen is what they're calling a skirt. So there's always name recognition, so the Taylor Press, it's the East Wilco Insider, it's the Elgin Courier, it's that name plus with a QR code for those that are savvy enough to use the QR codes to go up and go to our website and look at our other digital products.
See, that's brilliant, because now you're really telling the advertising community how advanced you are. I mean, again, it's cluttered out there. What does Gordon keep saying? The average business is being impacted by somewhere between 20 and 40 advertising inquiries a month, and they're only talking to like 3 companies a month.
Right.
So you want to be in front of their face as much as you can.
Absolutely. And to your point earlier about being legacy, yes, if legacy means old and stingy, sure, but it also means trusted. And people know and trust our name, and they know that what we're producing is going to be a good product that's going to bring them results. And that's ultimately the point. Are we looking to increase our subscriber base? Yes, of course. Are we looking to broaden our ad revenue? Yes, of course. That's the point. Our brands are, every one of us, are well over 100 years old in all of our markets, and we want to continue to expand 100 years from now. And to do that, we need to continue to expand and offer additional platforms to bring those trusted products to our communities.
Andy, let's bring this home now. Let's assume I want to do this. I mean, I'm willing to make the investment for my future. I realize I got some upfront cash I got to put out there to get some of these screens placed. I give you a budget. Let's say I'm willing to put $3,000 a month into this. In exchange, I'm projecting what kind of revenue and how long will it get started and what can you offer? Let's assume I'm a small media company and I'm willing to go. I'm going to give this a 1 year, $3,000 a month play. What am I going to wind up with? How long will it take for me to make money, and what's going on? Go ahead.
Well, so first of all, if you're interested, we'll come in and we'll analyze your market for you. So we'll look at your community. We'll recommend what we think the right network size is for you, how big the audience would be, what rates should you sell it at, what kind of revenue you can do. So we'll help you with a revenue projection. But if you started very small, 10 screens, which is $2,500 a month, I mean, you ought to be able to generate, certainly $6,000 to $8,000 a month in recurring revenue. These are sold in 6 and 12-month packages. And so again, it's not like something you have to keep reselling every week. We recommend the longer commitments. If you sold out your inventory, you're going to be at $12,000 a month on those screens. And so, there's obviously very nice potential there. We now have a 4-segment sales training program where we'll come in with 4 different web meetings to kind of educate your sales team and walk them along till they're fully up. We've got a sales process where to launch, to get your initial kind of bucket of revenue, and then ways for you to build on that over time. So I mean, certainly as I said earlier, your fees month 1 is 0, right? They're going to ramp over 4 months. And, by the time you're at month 4, you ought to be above break even, and you ought to be at your, you ought to be better than a 50% gross margin. You're earning on that, at 6 months. And then it's really just a question of how much revenue you want to put on after that.
Well, if someone wants more information, Andy, and they want to have you come to their town and tell them how to do it and what to do, what do you want them to do? This is your moment to make your elevator pitch. Go ahead.
So we'd love to speak with you. We're going to drop an email to everybody right after this with a Calendly link. And you also can go to our website, onpremise.networks.com, and fill out a form there. If you do, either fill out a form or respond to our email and sign up for a meeting this week, and you go and eventually pursue a network with us. The first screen will be free. So certainly a benefit to being on this, but we'd love to hear from you. And what we would do if we get a 30-minute session is come out of that, do a study for your market. There's no cost for the study. Based on that, you can evaluate whether or not that fits for you. So just let us know of your interest either through the form at onpremise.networks.com or sign up on our Calendly, which you'll get later today. And we'd love to talk more.
Pat Dorsey, thank you, the publisher of the Santa Fe New Mexican, for giving us your honest overview of this new initiative you're launching as we speak. Dana, congratulations on getting funding for this and truly getting your brand into hyper-local niche areas and the growth that you'll be doing with this. And Daniel, you obviously are making money and have had this deployed for a while. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, Daniel, and pick your brain on how you're making money with this, Daniel, what is your email address, if I may ask?
Yeah, daniel.philhauer@graniteMediaPartners.com.
Dana, can someone reach out to you and ask how the heck you found the money for this? Would that be okay?
Definitely. DanaPeck@afro.com.
And Pat, someone wants to just, get an idea of what your launch is like and how much time consumption you're having and watch you along the way. How do they reach out to you, Pat?
It's pdorsey@sfnewmexican.com.
There you go. And of course, Andy, your email address, please.
Sure. It's Andy@onpremise.networks.com.
Thanks to all for participating. You'll get a follow-up email if you've registered or attended with the information and links to the recording of this if you want to share it with someone else on your team. We thank you for your time. We thank our panel for their time. And we hope that this will be an amazingly great year for you, your media property, for the days to come as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.